Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar, Killer Promo Campaigns. My name is Jill, and with me today is me, and he is part of our marketing team.
Morning, everyone.
Me is going to be doing the webinar for you, and I'm just going to be here giving my 2 cents along the way. This webinar is about, how long is this? About 40 minutes?
40 minutes. Yeah, with plenty of time for Q&A at the end.
Yeah, we always try to have plenty of time for Q&A. So if you think of questions, go ahead and type those into the box that you see in your GoToWebinar window, and we'll be happy to answer those questions at the end of the webinar. One of the questions we get every time we have a webinar or demo is this being recorded? And the answer is yes, we are recording this. This will be up on our resources page next week. And if you're wondering where our resources page is, if you go to Vertical Response, our website, verticalresponse.com, and click on resources, you'll see where we have recorded webinars and also guides. They're all on that page, as well as upcoming webinars. So there's lots of information on that page, and it'll be free for you to go and take a look at that. So that'll be up next week. So with that, I'm going to hand this over to me.
All right, so before we start, let's go through the agenda real quick so you can see what we're going to be talking about today. So we're talking about promo campaigns. So as with any marketing campaign, we'll be talking about how to set the goals for them, and then how to look back at historical data, kind of how to set benchmarks for your campaign, picking your targets, see which audience you want to go after, how to craft enticing offers to get people to buy, and as well as the messaging, where to communicate, which channels use. Then we'll go through how to measure the results, the success of your campaign, and then finally assessing that success and preparing for the next promo. And like Jill mentioned, we'll have some Q&A at the end. So let's get started. So what is a promo? Well, here's the scientific definition of it. Sales promotion is a diverse collection of incentive tools, mostly short-term, designed to stimulate quicker and or greater purchase of particular products or services by consumers or the trade. Where advertising offers a reason to buy, sales promotion offers an incentive to buy. So this was definition by Philip Kotler, the author of Marketing Management. So what does that mean in other words? In other words, promotions are basically a great way for you to boost sales over a really short period of time by offering something that your customers or your prospects won't be able to find otherwise, something exceptional to that target audience. So we know, as most of you are small businesses, we realize that you might not have the budget to hire a really, big ad agency that will be able to get you millions and millions of impressions. Or it's not easy, I know, to get your campaign to be the latest viral sensation, like the Old Spice guy or one of those. That's like one of those one-hit wonders. Happens once in a blue moon. But we want to give you this quick, easy 8-step plan to really launch successful promos that will help you really rock your business and meet your revenue goals. So speaking of goals, what are you trying to accomplish with this sales promotion? Well, there are different goals that you can go after, and here are 5 of them. So brand awareness. Brand awareness basically allows you to get your company name out there because potential customers, as you know, will be more comfortable doing business with you if they've already heard your name or they already know about your company before they actually start the purchase process. So this campaign will also help reinforce, help you hammer home all the benefits of using your product or your service over your competitors, and also keep you top of mind with your existing customers, just so they know, oh yeah, this company I used way back when is still out there, still doing great stuff. Should they be tempted to look elsewhere, for the product that you are already offering. The second is lead generation. So this basically would allow you to collect names and contact information of potential customers that you can then add to your sales funnel, so that you can keep nurturing these leads and push them along the funnel to make them into purchasing customers. Acquisition, so basically this is, getting people to become your customers, so convincing them that your product is the best for them out there, or to subscribe to your service as a service you're offering, and thus growing customer base and revenue, of course.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Retention. So basically, this is catering to your current customer base, rewarding them for their loyalty. You know how Starbucks has this their card program. Jill's laughing because her and I are big fans of that program. The cards. So an example of great loyalty program, and also give them incentive to keep spending money with you. Jill and I go downstairs twice a day to get our dose of coffee. So they got us.
I think we're keeping Starbucks in business.
I know, exactly. And then a fifth goal that you could go after is to win back former customers. So if those customers haven't opted out, of receiving further information from you via email, for example, you can win them back by offering them something special and remind them of what made your product or service so appealing in the first place.
We do some stuff for retention and win back, which isn't necessarily like a loyalty program like Starbucks, but we do things like send out guides. So sometimes you guys will get an email that has a guide attached to it or a link to a guide. And that's something that we do to help keep people wanting to use our system. Those are the sort of things that we give away. So you don't necessarily have to have a loyalty program as part of retention. I know that sometimes is a daunting thing to people, but any little thing like that can help.
Most definitely. So your customers can feel appreciated.
Yeah, exactly.
Stretch it. So why a limo? This is a funny story.
It's a stretch limo.
Exactly. So this actually my GM came up with this. We had to talk about stretch goals. Well, it's a limo. He called them limo goals. So that's why we're going to use this here to illustrate my point. Is basically you want to set goals that are realistic, obviously, that you want to be able to hit. But I would encourage you to set goals that are a little beyond your comfort zone. So don't be afraid to stretch them a little bit, and that way you can put some positive pressure both on yourself and your team to exceed expectations, and that way you haven't limited yourself to anything and make generate even more revenue. And also with these goals, you want to be able to set key performance indicators. So what are key performance indicators? Well, it depends on your goal. They need to be relevant to your objectives and allow you to gauge the success of your campaign. So, for example, if you're doing an acquisition campaign, you want one of the key KPIs will be the number of new customers that you've gotten, or the increase of revenue, stuff like that. So, how did your previous campaigns do? Well, once you have your goals, you want to set benchmarks to kind of have an idea of what to expect for the upcoming promotion. So one of the things you can do for that is take a look at all the existing data that you have from previous promotions, you already have them, or just take a look at your customers' purchase behavior if you know it. So for example, you can look back at what has worked in the past, see which ones of your campaigns have really done well, and analyze what has factored into that success. So has it been trends, seasonality, was it the messaging, was it the offer, and so on and so forth. What hasn't worked, also take a look at what hasn't performed well and try to identify the reasons why they haven't been up to par, and avoid the same missteps. You can do surveys. If you're not sure what kind of offer your prospects, your customers will be willing to respond to, well, what better way than to just ask them, Send out a survey to a sample of your potential audience, and then, or someone with a similar purchase behavior, so not necessarily your customers, but somebody who's using a different service, and that will really help you suit your promotion to suit their needs. And then once
you can also do, I saw on Facebook yesterday somebody was using the Facebook tool where you can ask questions and have people answer. Mm-hmm. And one of the companies that I follow, excuse me, on Facebook was asking what type of phones people have so that they can tailor their promotions to people specifically using smartphones. And I thought that was a really good way to do it. Obviously, those are people who are already at least somewhat interested, so that's not really an acquisition type of thing. But it still would be great for promotions, knowing how people are looking at any kind of promotions that you're sending out.
Most definitely. Yeah. So, I'm sorry, just go back. One
sorry.
last note on the goals. So now that you have these benchmarks, go back to the goals that you had set prior, and then compare them to what you're trying to go after. So if need be, you might need to adjust them a little bit if your goals were set too high or too low, and then go forward. Sorry about that. So now that you have all these goals, now who are you going to go after? Well, again, it's going to depend on what you set, but you want your target audience based not only on their status in the sales cycle, so basically where they are in the funnel. Are they prospects that have never heard of you? Are they leads? So people who are demonstrated a certain interest in your product, but are not necessarily customers yet. Then you have your current customers and the people that were your customers. But you can also segment based on different categories. So for example, this is not an exhaustive list by any means. You can segment by industry. So for example, if your product or service is more geared towards B2B, for example, you look at vertical response, our target is small businesses,
Right.
Nonprofit organizations, etc. So you want to make sure that people that you intend on sending a promotion to really fit within the verticals that typically purchase from you, or have a need for what you're going to offer. You can also segment by company size. So again, if you're targeting companies, you can take a look at their number of employees, their revenue, etc. by using their databases out there. For example, InfoUSA can provide you with lists of customers potential customers you can be going after, and decide if that offering would be a good fit for them. You can also segment by demographic. So let's say your product or service caters more to the 18 to 25 crowd, 18 to 25 years of age crowd, or maybe just the female population. So whatever the case, you just make sure to know your consumer beforehand in order to send your message to the right people. And finally, you can segment by geographically. So if your business operates locally, or if your product services applies only to metropolitan areas, you should really try to restrict your net to the optimal zones of influence, not spend your money in zones that people might not be interested in your product.
So of course, you can segment your mailing list using the segmentation tool in your vertical response account. As long as you have that data, you can do that. So you can create a list based on where people live, based on zip code if you have that data, state, city, whatever information that you've collected. And to Me's point, you can also use InfoUSA, but if you're doing that in vertical response, you need to send them a postcard. Because we don't allow you to use purchase lists to send emails. That goes against our policies. But you are able to purchase addresses to send postcards to, because there's not as many rules about that.
Exactly.
But that is also a great way to be able to target for specific demographics. If you're using postcards and a purchase list like that, you can send a postcard to somebody who falls into the exact target that you're looking for, because companies like InfoUSA have that information available pretty easily for you, and so you don't have to do quite as much work for that.
Yeah. Direct mail.
Direct mail, yep. It's not a bad thing.
Yep. Test. So, as always, make sure to perform a test or multiple tests on a smaller sample of your intended audience to see if all that targeting has really you were right about your targeting method before proceeding with with the full campaign. If you're wrong, better to be wrong on a small sized audience than a bigger one. It'll cost you less money. So now, what to offer your audience? So there are typically 3 kinds of sales promotions that you can offer. So the first one, pretty obvious, discounts. So this is the most commonly seen type of promotion. Had a little stat here for you guys. According to the Promotion Marketing Association, or PMA, over 76% of the population uses coupons or promo codes when they make a purchase. So, but you can also insert discounts under a shape of loyalty program. We mentioned Starbucks earlier. So the reason we go back all the time is after a certain number of drinks or items we purchase there, we get a free drink. That rebate can really lower the barrier to entry. So if because your price that your usual price is too high for people, the fact that you're offering them a discount, they will go towards you because all of a sudden they can afford it. And now that they've tested your product, they might be more willing to purchase more in the future. Second promotion, contests. So setting up an exciting contest, really a great way to generate buzz and awareness about your company. But you want to make sure that the prize that's related, that you're going to offer is related to your brand. So this is an example you see all the time is people give away free iPads as part of their contest. So that may, you'll get a great conversion rate from that at first, but quality of customers might not be, what you're looking for because people didn't really, unfortunately, care about your company. All they wanted was their free iPad.
Yeah, that's true. Who doesn't want a free iPad?
I know, right? So not necessarily out of interest for your company, but so in the mid to long term, at first you're gonna get a lot of customers at first in the short term, but mid to long term you're gonna also have a really high churn rate. So you're gonna be losing all those customers in the mid to long term. And finally, the third one that I had on here was sampling. So you might think that giving away free samples might not be as cost effective to generate profit, but sometimes you can really give some in order to win a lot. So you probably heard of Seth Godin, so the founder of Squidoo, really influential blogger. I encourage you to follow his blog or his Twitter. So he released this book a while back called The Idea Virus. And so at first he gave it away for free as an ebook. So, but in less than 30 days, he had 400,000 copies that were downloaded. And the buzz that generated, people started just going ahead and purchasing the hard copy because they wanted their own sample. And so that made it crack the Amazon top 5 bestseller list. So as you can see, free can honestly generate a lot of revenue.
Can we do something really quick here?
Please do.
Switch headsets.
Oh.
I think my microphone is closer.
Okay.
And people are saying you're harder to hear.
Is this better?
I'm the loudest person on the planet.
Sorry, I'm a little under the weather, so that might be why you can't hear me that well. All right, so after sampling, take risks. So just like this little fish that's risking its life. Well, the risk is risk, no rewards, right? So he's jumping into that big bowl and taking the risk because he's going to have more room in the end. So just like the little fish, just as we suggested, stretch your goals a little bit. Also push the envelope when you're crafting your offer. Remember, you need to give your audience a much stronger incentive than usual in order to generate profit in the short window of time that you're running your promotion. But the rewards, if handled correctly, might really be worth your while. So, messaging, what to say in your promotion. So once you settle on the type of promotion you want to launch, build a message around it that will get people to buy. So here's some of the criteria your message should meet. Jill probably touched on these on some of our previous webinars in terms of emails. But you want to be timely, so base the timing of your message off your research based on on trends and seasonality. Also, which day and time is best to hit your audience. Maybe your audience really reads their email when they wake up in the morning. So you might want to send your email at 7 right as they wake up. Also, if you're going with seasonal themes, for your creative direction, make sure they actually are seasonal. So don't send a Christmas themed promo, I don't know, in the middle of May. Christmas in July might work.
That would work, yeah.
Stay targeted. So if you're running a number of campaigns at the same time, send the right one to the right audience. So you don't want to send "We missed you" to somebody who's actually never used you. That's something that you want to send a churn customer instead. Be concise. So a recipient really should be able to understand in just a few seconds the deal that you're offering them, also what they need to do in order to take advantage of it. So go straight to the point, state the benefits in really a couple short sentences or bullet points, and then finish with a really strong and visible call to action. So your reader, they won't be having any doubt on what they need to do in order to get this promo.
This is something that we did. If any of you guys have seen our webinar on testing, we had sent, I think it was earlier last year, we had done a promotion. And we had a really cute graphic with these red balloons, and it said sale. And then we had 2 different emails that we sent out. It had the exact same offer in it, but the one with the red balloons was a little less clear. It was set up a little bit more like a Groupon where you purchase a certain number and you get a certain number of email credits. We were doing an email credit special. And the other email we sent didn't have as nice a graphic, but it said straight out, you get 5,000 credits for whatever the price was. And that one was far more successful because instead of having, really pretty graphic and saying all of this fun kind of topical stuff like setting it up like a Groupon, we just said exactly what it was. People knew exactly what they were supposed to do, and they did it. So being concise is pretty important when it comes to doing a promotion like that.
Most definitely. And, like you said, if you know your audience, some of them might be they don't have time for these things. They see an email. If, it kind of wanders a little bit, they won't have, say, they don't want to bother with it. Whereas if you have something that's concise, like Jill said, straight to the point, you'll say, oh, I know exactly what I want to do. I'm just going to click the link and take advantage of it. So, yeah, good point. Stay consistent. So we're going to touch on the channels later, but you want to make sure that the messaging in either your emails, on your Facebook posts, in your tweets, on your landing page, etc., whatever you may use, you need everything to stay consistent. You don't want to send out mixed signals to your audience. They'll just confuse them, and again, they won't want to bother with what you have to offer. And finally, be appealing. I know this is kind of obvious, but you want to make your offer as attractive as possible to really get your consumer to take action. So if it really needs to be enticing enough to lead to a quick conversion, but also cost effective enough for you, to get back some of that money that you spent in order to get this promotion going. Speaking of channels, so where can you run this campaign? You see there's a long list. Again,
that is a long list.
Again, non-exhaustive list, but let's just go through a few of them real quick. Email, as you know, it's the most effective and cost-efficient of all because over $4 in return on investment for every spot that is spent per the Direct Marketing Association.
$40, right?
40, yeah.
Okay, it sounded like 4.
Oh. 4 would be really great.
40 for every dollar.
For every dollar. So 40 is a lot better than 4.
It is, yeah.
So yeah. So email, as you know, is simple, it's targeted, and it's easily trackable way for really deliver your carefully crafted message. But even better if you pair it with social, because social is a great way to leverage the community that's already following you. So it allows customers to generate some buzz on your behalf, and even turn some of those potential customers into new ones. So you can use tools like VR Social. That way you can schedule your posts, campaign, and really integrate that with your email campaign. Direct mail, we mentioned earlier, it's an oldie but a goodie, and some people actually like to have something physical in hand, so that makes them easier to remember instead of an email, that's lying there. They'll see it, they'll forget it, whereas the physical piece will, be in hand, be hanging on their table, etc. Yeah,
that's what I do. I know some people will stick direct mail piece on like their refrigerator or something, but I either have it on my coffee table, which is near my front door, or I'll stick it, if it's really important, on my front door.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's easier than an email for sure.
Pay-per-click, banner ads, or display ads. So pay-per-click, if you're running a PPC campaign, all you would need to do in order to run your campaign is to switch out some of the keywords or the wording to reflect the promotion that you're running, and you should be all set. So really quick, as you know, PPC is pretty flexible. I think we did a webinar about that.
We did. I was just going to say that a couple months ago, we did a great webinar, really, really in-depth and interesting webinar on pay-per-click for small business, and that one is recorded and it's up on our recorded webinars page if you have an interest in pay-per-click marketing.
Yep. So yeah, definitely encourage you to check that out. And my voice is probably better on that one than today.
You weren't sick then.
I was not. Landing pages and microsites. So these can be launched specifically for your campaign and can really act as kind of the hub for your campaigns to send all your recipients to. I'm sorry. So be the email, landing page, social media, or pay-per-click, you can just drive everyone to that.
And direct mail. You can
mail,
put a
yes.
URL on a direct mail piece and have them go to a landing page as well.
Exactly.
Which is about the only way you can track, unless you ask people to bring in your direct mail piece. It's really the only way you can track if people are getting it. So that's a good thing to do too.
Or a promo code,
Or a promo code, yeah.
So yeah, just drive everyone, all that traffic towards your landing page, which can really make it easier for you to track where they come from. And finally, if you don't want to do a landing page, you can just run it on your website. Just add a banner or links on there, have one specific page dedicated to it, or just point from your website to the landing page. And also you have some others that you see here, point of purchase. So if you have a brick and mortar store, just have a promotion running directly there. Trade show booths, that's a good place to hand out free samples and the like. And if you're old school, you can just have a big budget.
Yeah.
You can just run, on TV.
That may not
radio.
necessarily be old school, but definitely big budget.
Definitely big budget, yeah. So yeah. Now that your campaign has been running, is off and running on these different channels, how do you track your success? So you want to make sure to have set up your measuring tools beforehand. So if you're going to be tracking it just with spreadsheets, or if you set up dashboards, or using analytics tools. Here you have a screenshot of Google Analytics. You use Site Catalyst, or all of the above actually. Don't wait until your campaign's already started to get the tracking in place, because you could really miss out on some valuable data. So especially from those early ones with people who started purchasing right away from the get-go. Zero in on the right metrics. So we mentioned setting up KPIs to track your success. So focus on those numbers as you track your campaign, and track the most relevant one to see what you're trying to achieve. And finally, once you have all this raw data, it's time to analyze and interpret. So break down the results to see what they really mean. Don't necessarily just take them at face value. So for example, you might have gotten a lot of impressions for your PPC campaign, so people typed in those keywords a lot, so your ads kept popping up for them in the search engines. But if that would be great if, and that's a big if your goal was just to generate some brand awareness. If your goal was to actually gain new customers, getting people to purchase through those ads, and the conversion rate might be abysmal, then not so great, unfortunately. But again, it can work the other way around as well. So 17%.
Don't fret.
Don't fret. Don't be afraid. So 17% of a given set of promo campaigns are profitable per caller. So the guy from the quote from earlier. So one thing to keep in mind. So even though most promotions will increase sales for you over that short period of time you're running it, they also lose money. So like I said, only 17% are estimated to be profitable. But don't panic, because you'll be reaping these rewards in the long run. So remember, this was really for a short period of time, but the consequences there'll be repercussions in the mid to long term, because you'll have, one, gotten your name out there, and or gain new customers within this short period of time. So it's all good.
So don't panic.
Exactly. What next? This slide may look familiar. So
yes, I think we saw this earlier.
Yeah. So now it's time to kick back and review. So look back at what has worked. So again, look at it. It doesn't even matter if your campaign is successful or not, because you will always have good things that come out of it. So take the time, take your team out, congratulate yourself, have a drink, relax a little bit after the craziness of the campaign. And then analyze what went right and that you can use again in the future. What didn't work. So beyond the results, whether they're good or bad, look back at the hiccups that you've been encountering along the way. It could be not just in results, like I said, it could be planning, in process, or in pure execution. survey. Again, don't afraid to reach out to your customers to see what they thought of your campaign. So get some outside perspective on it. And time to prep your next promo. Once you've gathered all your findings, you can go ahead and start planning. So some final recommendations that I have for you before we switch over to Q&A. Always maintain your brand image. So use promotions that really complement or enhance brand image and add value to it. Combine sales promotions with advertising. So as in the definition that I gave when we started the webinar, advertising explains why the customer should buy the product, and the sales promotion is really providing them the incentive to buy right away. So when the two are used together, it could be a pretty powerful combo, kind of like email and social. Beware of people who buy your product basically on the discount and sample that you offer and might never come again. So it's like the iPad example that we had, but it could also apply to like you've offered this really great discount for the 3 days. So make sure to reach out to these people that really purchase specifically because of the big discount and give them incentive to keep doing business with you on a regular basis, not just when you're offering a discount. And finally, use sales promotions sparingly. So even though they're a great tool, that's why we talked about, we did a whole webinar about them, to meet your sales quota in a relatively short amount of time, they can actually hurt your brand in your consumers' minds because all these companies are, do coupons like all the time. People are going to be like, I'll just wait for the next promo. There's no reason for me to buy now. They're going to be offering a better discount in the future. So yeah, that's one of the dangers of using it. So again, they're great, but in small doses. So some of the resources that you can go and check out, our help pages, the blog. I also believe we have a guide on the resources page where you can find this. And of course, recorded videos. We have more recorded webinars.
Sorry, yeah, that's webinars, not videos. I put videos.
My bad.
Yeah, that's where our recorded webinars are. That's where this one will be. And then also the PPC one that we talked about, the pay-per-click one that we did earlier this year is there as well. So if you're interested in checking out how that works. And then we also have on that same page, we have our guides as well. That's the actual URL there. But if you just go to our website, verticalresponse.com, and click on the tab that says resources, it'll bring up the guides and the recorded webinars, and you can get those there.